Ladies and gentlemen, you knew we were not going to go the eve before another big LWF event, Wastelands. It not run down the card, it not give you wall-to-wall coverage, and we're going to start the party here early. We're going to get you ready for the Buckshore Village Community Center tomorrow night and continue that with one of our guys. At this point, I think we said he's a regular. We haven't heard from him the last couple weeks, but for good reasons, because he's got something important to tell us. He's a part of something here where finally I felt like I had been talking about this with him for God knows how long, and he's doing a lot better these days than my crypto account, my mutual fund account, and certainly my bank account, but that's here nor there because I'm excited to be with him once again. He is one half, of course, of one of our favorite tag teams around. That is Blazing Guns. So let's get to it. And without further ado, on the Sports Report, the number one special pro wrestling star here from the LWF. That's the scenario. Nathan Gunn. My friend.
That entrance gets better every time. Let me tell you.
Whoever it's come on here, and it's been a who's who of people have actually said the same thing. And so I guess we might be doing something right here on Sportswire Radio, but it is
doing a lot right, my friend.
I feel like it's been a while. It really hasn't been that long, but there's a lot to get into with you, my friend. Obviously, we'll get into the Wastelands card. We'll run down some of it. We'll obviously speak about some people that have come on Sportswire Radio here over the past week. They're going to be on the card tomorrow night. We'll get into some of that, but for those that are watching and listening to this on Sportswire Radio that are especially fans here of the LWF and who watched Monday Night Mutiny 3, which you can catch your match exclusively on Powered 4 TV. The rest of the card, you can watch it on the LWF's page on YouTube, LWF Television. But finally, you got one. As they would say famously, every dog has its day, and you finally had your day against Davey Getsky. And show up that shirt for those that are watching on Sportswire Radio right now. You finally did it. I had been talking about this with you literally now almost a year. But set the tables for us on Sportswire Radio and those that are watching, listening, it wherever they may be, on how you finally got one over and beat Davey Getsky.
Well, I mean, it's been a long time coming in. What did I tell you last time? I said I nearly had him in that tag match, didn't I?
I know.
Told you that.
Talk about it. You did talk about it. You did.
And I said if I got another shot, I told you what would happen. I felt it. I felt it in my bones. And quite frankly, the shirt says it all. The shirt says it all.
Did you pay for that shirt? I hope not.
Anyone, it's anyone. Of course, I didn't. I assumed it was winner gets the shirt, and I just walked off with it. Is that not?
Well, that could be. I mean, not to say that anybody would be selling that at the merchandise table for the LWF because Davey Getsky's probably he's probably the most hated wrestler I think of anywhere.
That's a fair statement, yeah. No, it's finally
like X-Pac territory. He's turning into like 2001 X-Pac, where people just like would go, X-Pac, you fill in the blanks, X-Pac, fill in the blanks. That's almost like Davey Getsky at this point.
I don't know if it's that level. I mean, I've always had a tremendous respect for him, but I certainly feel good about the victory and the shirt stealing. So, but no, I told you, I felt it. I felt it in that tag match. Felt that I had him, and I did.
You did. I mean, tell us how you were able to pull it off for those that haven't got a chance to check out Powered 4 TV.
Well, I mean, I don't want to give too much away. It's an incredible match. As to be fair, it always is. Me and Getsky have a very good rivalry. He brings out the best in me. He's a tremendous athlete. He is now a defeated to Nathan Gunn athlete, but he's a tremendous athlete.
And there's an individual that might be friends with Mr. Getsky, and he certainly might know Mr. Getsky well. And I don't want to tip my hand on who that individual is, but his comment says here, nice shirt. But I'm assuming he's joking, or he really thinks it's a nice shirt. Maybe he wants your shirt and because he doesn't want to buy one.
Well, maybe that's the case. I don't. Maybe he just agrees that anyone but Getsky. I don't know. I mean, this individual looks familiar to me, and
I don't want to say who he is.
He has perhaps a new partner this weekend.
Well, he might. I mean, that individual.
Just to be honest, I'm wondering what else I could take from him. Really, at this point, I mean, I've got the shirt, I've got the win. I mean, what can I take from him, man? I mean, really.
I'll tell you what you can't take from him because he's a little empty-handed right now when it comes to the gold. Because the last I checked, the Wrecking Crew doesn't have the tag team championships anymore.
So they don't have anything anymore, do they? No.
Nick
the smile's back. It feels great.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the Wrecking Crew seem like they're not wrecking anything anymore right now. They're more like the losing crew right now.
I mean, you said it, but you're not wrong.
No, I mean, listen. I mean, you have to call a spade a spade. I mean, listen.
You do.
Sportzwire Radio. Listen, we call it as we see it, and we certainly have feels.
That's what I like about it.
Towards certain wrestlers in the locker room when it comes to Balachi and Stephen Cross, Nate Reese, but the Wrecking Crew are the losing crew right now. Objectively speaking, they are the losing crew. I mean, I can't call them the winning crew. I can't even call them the Wrecking Crew right now.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to say what can I take from him, but you're right. Everything's been taken from him, hasn't it? Maybe I can Chris Stone and Nick Cutter, they need a new member that's not David Getsky. I'm busy.
Wait. Are you telling me you want to join the Wrecking Crew?
No, I'm busy. I'm just saying maybe they should look for somebody else. You know what I mean? I've got parties to be at.
Who would actually want to join them? Let's be honest, because Stephen Cross tried. He ain't joining them. Balachius we had on Wednesday night. He ain't joining them. Who would really join the Wrecking Crew right now?
This is true. I mean, nobody. I was trying to be nice. I thought I was the guy who hated David Getsky. I mean, you're throwing more shade than me, my friend.
I have a respect for David Getsky. I will say this.
So do I.
On all my streams, but I'll say one thing. I've spoke with wrestlers and other companies, other promotions, and they seem to be not that big of fans of Mr. Getsky, and they kind of see the same things that he may see them. So it ain't just you, apparently.
Well, he's super talented, but he's also a massive jerk.
Well, I mean, that might be debatable, but certainly hold up that shirt again for those that are watching this. Hold that shirt up. I mean, certainly, I think I saw the Los Lankadors wearing that shirt at last I checked as well. I mean,
it's because it makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? It's just a great shirt. Anyone but him.
Well, I would imagine there aren't too many people in the world right now that own anything pro David Getsky, and certainly understandably why, because the Wrecking Crew are definitely on a losing streak right now because Nick Cutter lost in the Castle Cup finals against Ayton Steen. Certainly Christopher Stone and David Getsky lost their tag team championships to Synergy. So if you are even a fan of the Wrecking Crew right now, it is certainly not the time you would have hoped for. And think about this scenario, Nathan Gunn. Just a few short months ago, we thought that the Wrecking Crew were going to pretty much run the entire LWF. We thought for sure Nick Cutter was going to beat Reynaldo. We thought for sure that Getsky and Stone were going to be tag team champions for years to come. They were going to be the equivalent of the Bloodline. But right now, it seems like they're equivalent to the 2002 NWO. I've been watching a lot of WWE Network lately. What can I tell you?
There's so much shade coming from you, and it's not from me. But you're right. You're right. Yeah. You're right, man. You know, you're calling this subjective. You're calling it down. They're going to be angry at
you. I am walking into it tonight, aren't I?
They are going to be angry at you, but I appreciate your honesty. All right. And I tell you what, I got a problem with it. I'll beat him again. Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, if you say so, but I'll tell you one thing. I mean, certainly I got to imagine then you must be partying like literally like there's no tomorrow, because after your win against Getsky and Getsky, the lack of success he's had of late, I mean, certainly, I mean, you must be partying like you've never partied before.
It hasn't stopped. It's been non-stop. I'm going to go a full month. I'm going to go until he can get another win. He's had a bad month, hasn't he? I'm going to keep partying until he can win. That's my new pledge.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. I mean, something tells me here the scenario Nathan Gunn that Mr. Getsky, again, to quote, I feel like I've been saying this throughout the week, to quote Justin Timberlake, he's definitely crying a river because certainly we're not even seeing him in action tomorrow night at Wastelands. We're not even seeing. In fact, it's Nick Cutter, and Nick Cutter in his own right, and I shouldn't even invoke other promotions, but Nick Cutter really hasn't had much success in any of the companies I've seen him in action in. So certainly Mr. Cutter, I mean, he ain't cutting the mustard, no pun intended, it seems like these days. I mean, I asked this question to Mikey Fitzgerald, of all people, last night. I'm going to ask you this question here, and we got a comment in a second here, but when it comes to, let's say, Nick Cutter, and I'll get to Mr. Getsky, and there might be a comment toward Mr. Getsky here in a second, but if I'm the Wrecking Crew right now, and I know you obviously are really happy right now, but if you're the Wrecking Crew, I mean, are you questioning Nick Cutter and his leadership? Are you questioning Nick Cutter and what he's done for the Wrecking Crew? Because Getsky and Stone don't have the gold anymore. Cutter thought for sure he was going to be the world champion. Cutter for sure thought he was going to be the first ever two-time Castle Cup winner. But what I'm looking at right now is the Wrecking Crew, frankly, they've got about the same success right now as the Los Lankadors.
There's some fire coming from you tonight. No, but hey, look, maybe
the comedy tonight on Sportswire Radio.
Maybe the questioning, man. Look, that's a question for David Getsky and Chris Stone, isn't it? I don't know if they're questioning him. I don't know if anyone can lead David Getsky and Chris Stone. Are these men that can have a leader? I don't even know. I don't know.
Mr. Fitzgerald, of all people, said they don't have leaders. Mr. Fitzgerald, his words were, "I don't want to defend the Wrecking Crew, but they don't have leaders." And obviously, of course, the bat signal has rung because David Getsky is in the house here, and he says, "Nice shirt." He's enjoying the shirt, but he also has a retort here, and he says that Nick Cutter is the leader. We all are get it right. So he's saying that we're all leaders. But Mr. Getsky, if you guys were all leaders, though, I mean, what's going on right now with the lack of success in the Wrecking Crew? You guys are like the losing crew right now. I mean, seriously.
Gonna need a bodyguard at this rate, man. I'll come around here.
I gotta tell you, Balachi I like him. So I'm not gonna be like Steve Bibby and Mikey Fitzgerald and not book him properly. We got the big bucks on Sportswire because we took it out of my crypto account. We made sure to get it out of my mutual fund account. So if we have to use those resources, those vast resources here to keep the station running, we'll get that. I'm certainly not Steve Bibby in that sense. I will certainly put on my Vince McMahon hat and Tony Khan hat anytime for protection. I'll rest assured for you that, my friend.
Well, look, you're right. If they're all leaders, I mean, what is happening? I mean, it's a bad month. It's a bad month for David Getsky. Honestly, I'm just looking.
Like, I have to say, is this the worst month of the Wrecking Crew's careers? I mean, again, I don't know.
It's got to be, hasn't it? I mean, there's a meteoric rise, wasn't there? And then I'd say it came before the fall, though, didn't it? Because now they're struggling. And it brings me such joy.
I tell you what, they're definitely struggling here. You know what? I want to give a little bit of a shout out to the LWF here. I want to give a shout out to some of the talent that were on Monday Night Mutiny 3. In addition to yourself, obviously, Mr. Getsky, and all kidding aside, Mr. Getsky is a phenomenal wrestler, and Mr. Getsky is in phenomenal shape. And Mr. Getsky is going to be wrestling in some other companies of note. The Kingdom of Wrestling, he'll be there May the 28th, and he'll be in action against the unforgettable Andre Decker and Matt Fox, so I'll definitely want to make sure that I acknowledge them as well, and obviously that company's done a lot for us. But in terms of the card here, you had the Los Lankadors against Shining Wizard. Phenomenal match. You saw the end of the match between Tom Thelwell, who was on the call for your match with Steve Bibby. The end there you saw. I mean, certainly setting the stages for Ayton Steen and Tom Thelwell. Bob Costin kicked the show off for us. We saw Bob Costin, who looks like Uncle Fester from the Addams Family now. I mean, that's kind of a little bit of shade for me, but there was some phenomenal.
So much heat.
You know what? I'm walking into it right now. I mean, I'm certainly like the locker room right now. Half the locker room right now is going to be like, what's going on with Tom right now? I mean, but all kidding aside here, I mean, phenomenal card. The Los Lankadors enjoyed their promo. Going to enjoy. We're going to break it here on Sportswire Radio. we're going to have on the Los Lancadores Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. British Standard Time, because we're going to hear their side of the story here upcoming when it comes to the
Top
8-person
lads.
mixed. Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to find out. I am pulling, though, for Balachius, the Acid Stephen Cross, and Wildfire Nate Reese, and Aurora Tevez. I'm rooting for them. I know you're going to be mad about that, but I got to support those who support me. And the Acid Stephen Cross and Wildfire Nate Reese, they've been on Sportswire Radio just about for a year. And Balachius, I got to say, I sympathize with Balachius right now. I do think that there is a conspiracy theory towards certain wrestlers. But we're going to hear the Los Lancadores side of the story. We're going to hear Disfrasada. We're going to see the Mass Marauder. We're going to hear from Mysterious Mr. B, their side of things. We're going to get all of them on here to 7:30 p.m. this coming Tuesday. I enjoyed the match between them and Shining Wizard. I enjoyed their promo. We're going to get their side of things here. So we're going to certainly get to this. I want to make sure everybody goes to the LWF television page on YouTube, LWF on Twitter, also LWF's Facebook page. Also go to the LWF Wrestling on Instagram as well. And, of course, the Scenario Nathan Gunn. If you are listening and watching this, follow him on Instagram, Pro Nathan Gunn, because he's got almost 2,000 followers. So he needs, I think, 5 more followers. If you are watching, listening
You're
to
telling me.
go follow. Well, I checked. I was trying to check. I cheated. Go follow him on Instagram, because we got to get him to 2,000 followers. Just like you got to get me to 1,000 followers. I'm almost at 1,000 right now. So he's got to get to 2,000. I got to get to 1,000. So go follow us. I'm on the Sports Report 2021 on Instagram as well. So those are all great things here. And I want to get to another comment. Kind of relates to the Los Lancadores and Shining Wizard. This is one of my guys that's going to give us this comment here. He's becoming a very, very big fan of Sportswire Radio. I'm a big fan of him. And this individual is also related to an up-and-coming wrestler in nonstop action wrestling. His name is Goliath, and we're going to hear from him next Monday on Sportswire Radio, May the 23rd. So I'm excited about this guy, and you're going to definitely want to be on his side. And obviously, this individual who's related to that individual, Goliath, says Shining Wizard is still the most interesting team name I've heard. Well, Blazing Gun's not as interesting.
Right there. I mean, it hurts my feelings a little bit. But I'll grant you that it's a little simplistic, Blaze, Gun, it's two of us. I get that. He'd change his tune if he came to a party with us, though, after a show. I'm just saying.
I think of, for whatever reason, I don't know why this continues to come up, but I think of the Judas Priest song, All Guns Blazing, when I think of Blazing. You're probably not a Judas Priest fan. Most people aren't at this point because they're kind of old. But, I mean, that's what I thought of. And you guys kind of rock just as well. But Shining Wizard does a little bit more of the rocking. But talk to me, though, about Shining Wizard, though, because let's get into Shining Wizard. Actually, we'll come back to the victory celebration that you're going to have here. It's almost going to be a coronation for you. We'll get into all of that here over the next little while or so. But in terms of Shining Wizard, and I want to talk about Ayton Steen and Tom Falwell, because this is really a match that I feel like it's once again going to be another Ayton Steen show stealer. Ayton Steen, I said it here, he is almost like the Shawn Michaels, Jeff Hardy of the LWF. In fact, I got to give Ayton Steen respect, even though I think the Acid Stephen Cross should have won the Castle Cup. Maybe Balachius and him should have been in the finals, but that's here nor there, because I watched the 6-man tag between the Los Lancadores and Shining Wizard. Phenomenal match. Love the chops in the match. Love the spots where Ayton Steen goes off the top rope. You were there. You had a front row seat, especially after your victory celebration. But walk me through Ayton Steen and Tom Falwell, because this is kind of one of those dream matches in the making here, especially after how Monday Night Mutiny 3 ended. I have a feeling that I can see these two, and it's going to cut like a knife in terms of the intensity. So what can we expect between Ayton Steen and Tom Falwell?
Look, I got a lot of love for both Ayton Steen. I mean, me and Steen go way back. Yeah. I got a lot of love for Tom Falwell as well. So, look, and these two are incredible, aren't they? Let's not mess around. This for me. And look, I love everyone on the card, and I love Reynaldo, and that match is going to be great. But for me, Ayton Steen versus Tom Falwell is the match of the night. It's a show stealer, and I think you're right. I think he is a bit of a Shawn Michaels, isn't he? He's the showstopper of the LWF, if you like. Why not? And Tom will be going for a show stealing. So
Tom Thelwell has been in the ring with the likes of Chris Ridgway. So in a sense, this is going to be that kind of match where he's going to bring some of that here. And as Kieran said, yeah, because he was with us yesterday with Mikey Fitzgerald, and he had said Steen is in phenomenal form. He has all the advantage walking into this match. It's funny that he says that because that's kind of what I said. I kind of feel like right now, even if you're not a fan of Ayton Steen, if you like me, disagree with the fact that he's the Castle Cup winner because of how that match was changed to add Chris Egan in the match for the Acid Stephen Cross. And we'll get the Acid Stephen Cross side of the story here after we're off the air with you. And you can hear that on sportnarium.com/player only. But, I mean, in a sense, right now, of all the wrestlers, including the world champion, Reynaldo, in the LWF, I think this year, Nathan Gunn, even including you right now, because I know you got the win against Getsky, but the wrestler that has the most momentum right now, undoubtedly, is Ayton Steen. And right now, I don't know who could beat him one-on-one right now because, again, we saw what he did with Nick Cutter. We saw what he did in the triple threat match, beating Chris Egan. Chris Egan is a legend. We saw what he did here at Monday Night Mutiny 3. We have seen the run right now that Ayton Steen is on right now. Tom Thelwell was in the ring with the likes of Chris Ridgway. He's going to certainly want to avenge the fact that he lost the Castle Cup in the past too well. Davey gets the guy that you beat. But right now, Ayton Steen, he is right now the hottest wrestler right now on the LWF roster.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, the numbers don't lie, do they? They spell disaster. Tom Farewell. No, they don't. Look, he's in terrific form. He's always been great, by the way, because I've known him for years. He's always been really great and just an absolute daredevil. And a bit of a sexy goth, to be honest, hasn't he?
I'm not going to comment on that. Certainly, I know that there is a lady out there that would agree, and certainly we'll not say who that lady is. So certainly we will plead the fifth on that one. But I'm sure that many people find Mr. Steen many different things. I'll certainly leave that stuff to those outside the ring. But what I will say is that I felt like what really caught my interest was after the match of Monday Night Mutiny 3, where Mr. Thelwell and Mr. Steen basically were face-to-face, and certainly even Mr. Steen closing for the YouTube part of Monday Night Mutiny 3, really felt like right now it's Ayton Steen on a whole nother level.
Yeah, 100%. I was there on Monday Night Mutiny, so it was like I could feel the tension. Both of them come backstage, fuming, ready to go out there and then, so a lot of tension, a lot of talent. So yeah, like I said, show stealer, isn't it? Show stealer, 100%.
Oh, I think. Listen, and you could make the case Tom Thelwell and Ayton Steen is a main event match. Let's be honest. Tom Thelwell's resume, Ayton Steen over the past year, you could arguably make the case the scenario Nathan Gunn. That is a main event match, and there's a lot of matches that we're going to get into, undoubtedly. But that to me is a main event match.
Yeah, no, I'm making the case. I think it's the show stealer, and that doesn't take anything away from everyone else, not all. The scenario, he loves everyone.
You do, and nobody knows a party like you, and nobody knows. You got Billy and Bart, you got the hat. I will say, and I'll continue to say it, nobody also knows the ladies like the scenario Nathan Gunn, and nobody can belt a tune like the scenario Nathan.
Oh, that's bold claim because maybe J-Mac, but we'll move on.
You know what? I haven't heard from John McKinney in a while, so I'm going to have to say right now, I mean, I like John McKinney a lot. He was actually a big fan of mine, but I got to say right now at the moment, unless we're going to have maybe this is what we should do, maybe this is what we should do at Wastelands. Maybe we should have a post-show concert. I mean, we should have a post-show concert. You and J-Mac. I mean, J-Mac can bring his
lip sync battle. Is that?
What was the show that they used to have? I'm trying to think. Was it on? Maybe you had it here in the UK. It was on MTV. They used to have Was it MTV Wild Off? Was Nick Cannon used to host the show, and they would have.
I will belt a tune.
Wild and Out. That's it. Wild and Out. Listen, that was the show. Maybe we'll have an MTV Wild and Out version at the Buckstone Village Community. Maybe that's what we'll have here. I don't know. Stay tuned, but certainly that would be something I might want to see. Or maybe a post concert between J-Mac, John McKinney. Although as John McKinney did note, he gets paid a lot of money to do those concerts, and I don't know if Mr. Bibby is going to spend that kind of money. I might be able to afford to spend that money to hear Mr. McKinney, but I'm not sure about Mr. Bibby. So I'll let Mr. Bibby handle that here. So that's certainly here. But Ayton Steen, Tom Falwell, who do you like comes away with the W?
Oh, that's a tough question. That's mean. That's straight away into the mean questions.
I've been throwing shades at people all the last half hour. I don't know what it is right now.
Look,
I'm going to lose a lot of followers right now after this interview. I know it. I know I'm going to lose.
Well, I'm going to upset one of two people that I'm very fond of right now. Yo.
You can go double count out. Want to go double count out?
No, I don't want to cop out. We don't want that.
I do it all the time. Listen, we talk news, other things. I do it all the time. Listen, trust me. I do it all the time. Don't feel too bad.
Look, the form Steen's in, I'm going to go Steen.
I gotta be honest. I gotta give the devil his due here right now. I kind of think Ayton Steen here. I mean, that's kind of right now. I kind of feel like, after messaging him on Instagram and saying, "Hey, I just saw your match and I really enjoyed the match," for me to say, "Well, I'm gonna go with Tom Falwell," I'd be a total idiot on that. But Kieran says here, "I'll stick to what I said. I'm behind Steen." Yeah, I think that Ayton Steen right now has the clear momentum here. Certainly.
Steen super fan.
Well, listen. There's a lot of fans right now of Ayton Steen, like I said, and I'm sure there's a special fan out there of Ayton Steen. But I'm going to get in trouble for that. What can I say? But I want to get to another match here, and that's the World Championship match. And I want to get to it. I want to go straight to the chase here, and that's Dan Evans, who I think is wrestling right now as we speak. And every time I look up on Facebook, Dan Evans is like wrestling every day. I mean, Dan Evans literally is wrestling like a WWE schedule. I see him one day, and he's literally, no, seriously. What was he in Iceland last month? He was in Denmark. He was in, I think, Austria. I mean, Dan Evans is literally wrestling like he's almost like the Johnny Cash song. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. And I guess I'm trying to sing like J Mac. Maybe J Mac could sing like Johnny Cash. He probably could. But the fact of the matter is that Dan Evans is wrestling everywhere, and he also has a victory over our reigning, defending LWF champion, the man who is the top of the table right now. That is Reynaldo, and that is going to probably be our main event, although you can make a case for many matches here at Wastelands. But what you think here between Dan Evans, who's got the momentum, he beat Reynaldo a couple of months ago in tag action, obviously, and Reynaldo, who does have a victory over Sonny Durson at Slamaganza 3, but I mean, what can we expect here from the LWF Championship match here tomorrow night at the Buckshot Village Community Center between Reynaldo and Dan Evans?
Hey, look, Dan Evans brings it. I have been in a ring with Dan Evans, but in fact, the Blazing Guns have a loss to Dan Evans. So, hey, look, I know he brings it, and he'll definitely bring it to Reynaldo. But you've got to love Reynaldo, haven't you? You've got to love him. And I know that I'm a bit biased because I think he's great. But, yeah, I feel it. I feel it. I feel the run. I feel the run. He's on it. I can see it continuing. It's tough. But, I mean, how many tough obstacles has Reynaldo overcome?
That is true. And it's funny you said that because I've always felt like for whatever reason, since Reynaldo won the title against Nick Cutter, that it's almost like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop when it comes to Reynaldo's run. But yet here we are. And today it's May 13th going on May 14th. And how ironic, Friday the 13th, right? But going on to, we're almost, I think now 5 months that Reynaldo has been the world champion, yet he's still here. So you almost have to say, you know what? Reynaldo's defied the odds. He beat Jack Roberts. He beat, obviously, Mr. Cutter to win the championship. Sonny Durson he beat. I mean, he is on right now. Reynaldo has arguably been on the best run of his career. So, I mean, it's hard to argue against Reynaldo, but Dan Evans does have that victory. So Dan Evans does have a fighting shot here, and you could argue that he might psychologically have the advantage because he does have that victory over the current champion.
Well, look, I mean, it's wrestling, isn't it? Everyone's got a fighting shot. We're all professionals here. We've all trained. We've all been in the ring. We're all ready to fight. Anyone's got a fighting shot. I agree that Dan, like I said, he brings it. He brings it. He's a tough lad. But I think when you listed off those names, they're impressive names to beat, aren't they? And beat. I wouldn't say comfortably, but clinically, like, you know, he beat them clean and he beat them effectively. So my money's on Ray. My money's on Ray, and maybe that's just hope. But my money's on Ray.
I gotta be honest. I like Reynaldo. I have to say, I like the story of Reynaldo. We've had him on here twice. I really like Reynaldo. I want to say that in this particular case, I'm a fan of Reynaldo. I'm a fan of what he brings to the table. I like the story. I like the fact that he has the 13th man. I like the fact that the crowd is behind him. I like the fact that what he brings to the table. And it's really one of the greatest comeback stories, I think, in all of professional wrestling. I think at the end of the day, to be a world champion after being gone from professional wrestling as he was, he had not been a world champion in almost 10 years. The first run, we talked about it here on Sportswire Radio with him. That run he had the first time when he was the Future Shock Pro Wrestling Champion, he felt like it was almost as if it was unresolved. There was no clarity. He's gotten the clarity. So at the end of the day, it's hard not to like Reynaldo. I mean, I like Reynaldo. But Kieran says on this one, I feel that Dan is in Reynaldo's head. I feel Reynaldo will slip. No disrespect to Reynaldo, but to feel like lightning will strike twice. Dan has nothing to prove. Reynaldo is still fighting to settle the score. What do you think about that? That's a good point there.
Well, maybe. I mean, look, in this business, it's difficult to block everything out. Maybe Dan's got in his head. Maybe he has. I don't know. I haven't spoke to Ray. Ray's a top tier citizen. He doesn't come to no Nathan Gunn parties.
No, he's busy doing things a lot more important than partying
exactly.
and getting the ladies. No, he's a very, very busy man.
Yeah, we have different priorities, shall we say? But hey, I love him bits. Maybe he's in his head. Dan's always a tough fight, but for me, I see a Ray win. I see it. I see a long Ray title reign. You know, I see at the end of the year, who can beat him?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, that's obviously an open-ended question here, and Kieran makes a good point. Says here, only takes one slip, one oversight to get rolled up for the count of three. Listen, we see it all the time here. I mean, certainly there are things that do happen in the ring, and
happens all the time.
Well, I mean, you finally got one. You did finally. Listen, like I said, every dog has its day. Every dog has its day here. Famous.
I'm the dog in this scenario.
Well, you definitely. The scenario was you came away with the victory. So obviously, you definitely did. I want to get to another match here, and it involves Shining Wizard, and again, Shining Wizard in the worst. And I want to bring this match because I just saw a Shining Wizard in the ring. I just saw Big Ron and Clash in the ring here, and the worst, and they're not going to be with the guy like Isaiah Quinn, although he did have quite a bit to say a few days ago on social media. But, I mean, what do you think happens here between Lex Vinnick, Gorgon, who has been with us here in the past, against Shining Wizard? I mean, I kind of think in a lot of ways, and Mikey Fitz and I were speaking about this last night, that I kind of feel like in a lot of ways you could make the case the winner of this match could very well be the number one contenders, objectively speaking, to the LWF Tag Team Champions Synergy. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I'd say that upsets me, but that's not your fault.
I said objectively. Did you hear what I said there?
I did. But you said it, didn't you?
I said objectively.
I mean, look, it ain't your fault. We hit a bit of a rough patch. I think, going forward, we're going to be on it. But hey, we can only see what when we get to the fights. But talking about this match, I think if Shining Wizard win, I mean they've got to make a case, right? I mean they're on a pretty good run. Surely they've got to be up there for contention. I don't know how the system works. I haven't looked at wins and losses, but they've got to be up there. And the worst, well, they're the worst, but
they do have a record that's. Well, it ain't great. I mean,
they're the worst. But if they get a win over
territory of late,
but if they get a win over Shining Wizard in the form they're in, hey, maybe you've got to make a case for them. And look, people always say that you hate the worst, blah blah blah. I don't hate the worst. Well, I don't hate Gorgon, but I
like Gorgon in a sense. There's something likable about them, but certainly those that'll be at the Buckshot Village Community Center, I have a feeling won't be cheering for Gorgon and Lux Finnick.
They're not. They're not. You can't cheer for them, can you? It's difficult. It's difficult.
Nah.
They are the worst. They are. So it's difficult. But hey, if Shining Wizard win, and let me tell you, like, they may be the worst, but they're tough lads. So if Shining Wizard win, yeah, sure.
Shining Wizard have the size. I mean, if you are going to pick a winner, who's got the size? For the worst to win this match, they're going to have to basically run a marathon. They're going to have to make it an endurance contest. That's the only shot they have here in winning, because Clash and Big Ron do have the clear size advantage. And Kieran says here, I have to go with Shining Wizard purely because I love the name. And also because, for whatever reason, what was it, Stevie Wonder that sang Shining Star? Maybe they come out to Twisted Sister. I don't want to take it, but I'm just thinking about it now. Why did they come out to Stevie Wonder, Shining Star? It would have just made sense, right? But hey, what do I know? Because I'm not picking the music here, obviously. So they picked the music. They
Shining Wizard liked what they liked,
That's true. And I don't think that song rocks as much as Twisted Sister anyway. And I can't really knock Twisted Sister because actually they come from my neck of the woods in New York. Not to say that I'm a big Twisted Sister fan, but I do have sort of a connection with Twisted Sister, because obviously the drummer there comes from my neck of the woods here in New York City, and so does the rest of the band here. So that's here nor there, but we'll see what happens there on that match. But another match that I'm really curious about your perspective on, and it's a grudge match, and it's probably arguably like maybe one of the biggest grudge matches around, I think, tomorrow night at the card at the Buckshot Village Community Center, and that's Helena Razer and KT Hawkins. I mean, Helena Razer and KT Hawkins, this is a rivalry here that has been in the making for quite a while. Obviously, we know that Helena Razer has been out with an injury for a little while. She returns here to the squared circle tomorrow night for us at the LWF, and KT Hawkins, it's certainly a different KT Hawkins, and the one we've seen in the past. You've obviously had a front row seat for all of that. So, I mean, the scenario Nathan Gunn, I mean, give me your thoughts on what we can expect here tomorrow night between Helena Razer and KT Hawkins, because I'm really fascinated about this match. We've had Helena on here in the past, but I have a feeling that this is going to be maybe the biggest grudge match of the night.
Yeah, I mean, you said it there, isn't it? Is it retribution, I guess, is the question, isn't it? Is there going to be some comeuppance? I was there that night when KT Hawkins decided, and she's made that decision to turn on Helena Razer, and that's it. There was an anger in the air. There really was, yes. and she's decided that, I don't care that there's an anger, and I don't know reasons because we haven't spoke about it, but it was a bit brutal, wasn't it? So I guess the question is the retribution, and I don't know, because I think these two are evenly matched. It's tough. We need Kieran's perspective on this, because I don't know. These are evenly matched women.
Nathan Gunn, let me tell you something, Samantha. You told me, I'm not going to take the cop out here, but now you're taking the cop out.
I'm not taking it. Give me a second.
Kieran, you put the backstage on because Kieran is with us. And Kieran says here,
God, he saved me.
He says, I have to change my decision on this. I have to go with Helena. This is the fan in me seeing that comeback. Well, that's a fair point. Listen, that's a fair point. That's definitely a fair point.
Well, look, I mean, they're both really great athletes. But I don't know. Does KT have a power advantage? I think maybe she does. Does she have? Will she do whatever it takes to win? I think she will. And obviously we know that Helena's been in and out with issues, and KT will know that too. So, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. If you were pressing me on it, are you pressing me on it? I don't know.
No, I'm not. I'm not. And I'm going to tell you why I'm actually not pressing you on this one, because I've had Helena on, and I'm a fan of Helena. The story of her being a mother and raising her kids and still competing, and the story we went through all that when she came on a couple of months ago. What was so funny about the interview was she actually did the interview in her pajamas. It was almost like it was like
the time when you can get it when you're a mom, right?
Hey, listen, I'm not a father. I don't have kids. So what do I know, right? Clearly, I'm the last person that they would say would be a father, but here nor there. But I almost feel like, in one sense, if you were going to make the case for KT, because Helena's going to have so much on her side that she's going to want to one up and get an advantage on KT because of that animosity, that bad blood, you would say KT wins. But then conversely, because of what Kieran is saying, that, you know what, Helena just might have all that energy bottled up to want to get that comeback victory here. And he kind of echoes some of that here and says, let's see if the weight is enough pressure to see KT crack. That could very well be the case here. He feels it's a good moment, and the atmosphere will weigh heavily on KT's shoulders. That could be. I mean, I would think fair to say Buckshaw Village Community Center is going to be undoubtedly behind Helena Razer. Fair to say, Nathan Gunn? Is that fair?
Yeah, I would undoubtedly say so. Every time she steps out that curtain, the fans go nuts. They love it, and rightfully so. I mean, Shiny Wizard and her are doing incredible things.
I think that those are very fair points here. Let's get to another women's match here, and she's another person right now. We're seeing almost, I don't know if it's a whole new side of things, but it's definitely a big attitude, to say the least here, and that's Lily Winter and Holly Hudson. If you did see Monday Night Mutiny 2, you did see that interesting conversation that Kelly Van Ness had with Lily Winter. But what do you think happens here between Holly Hudson and Lily Winter?
I'd say, it's kind of another grudge match in a sense, isn't it? We're settling all the scores, aren't we, at Wasteland? I mean,
that's why they're calling it Wastelands here tomorrow. Hey. That's why they're calling it Wastelands.
Look, it's another great women's match. We're showing the talent of the LWF. We really are. It's going to be a great match again.
I think we have arguably the best women's division around, because the talent that we've had here, that has come across here. I mean, Tonga, Melanie Price before she got injured, Kelly Van Ness. Can never forget about Kelly Van Ness. We just spoke about Helena Razer and KT Hawkins, Lily Winter. We're going to talk about Leah Raven and Aurora Tevez. I mean, Holly Hudson. I mean, the roster, it's just so stacked here. I mean, we've got we have a better women's roster than AEW and WWE combined. I'm going to put it out there.
I agree with you. Like, look, I mean, if the same eyes were on us that are on them, I'd say, yeah. What a women's division this is. And what a division in general. I mean, the men are doing incredible things as well, but certainly when you see a match like a Lily Winter and a Holly Hudson, you've just got to enjoy it, haven't you? Just got to enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. And these are reasons why, again, you want to definitely follow the LWF on Instagram, the LWF Wrestling, LWF on Twitter, LWF Television on YouTube. Also, of course, Nathan Gunn, Pro Nathan Gunn on Instagram. Give him a follow. Give him a like. I'm telling you, he's going to do something out there. I got a good feeling about it. He's obviously got maybe the biggest win of his career right now against Davey Getsky. And certainly if you're Davey Getsky right now, anyone but Getsky, everybody seems to hate Getsky right now at the moment. So certainly you can see that shirt here. And Kieran agrees. Kieran has got a comment here that I could not agree more about. Nothing better than the British injuries. We do wrestling, they do business. I'm a wrestler, not a businessman. I could not agree. Listen, I can't stress it enough here. I get asked all the time. Roman Reigns wants to come on. Becky Lynch wants to come on. Tony Khan wants to come on. Kenny Omega's injured. He wants to come on. Bryan Danielson wants to come on. Samoa Joe wants to come on. Jonathan Gresham wants to come on. They all want to come on Sportswire Radio. But you know what I tell them? I want to speak with the Scenario Nathan Gunn. I want to speak with Balachius. I want to speak with the Acid Stephen Cross, Wildfire Nate Reese. I want to speak with people like the likes of Goliath, the Los Lankadors, GTM, you name them, BTW, KOW, Odyssey, RPD, the Natural Born Fighter. Those are what I want to say. I turned down, like I said, I turned down Brock Lesnar. I turned down Bianca Belair. I turned Chris Jericho. He's on tour. I turned him down. Didn't want him. I didn't want any of it. Randy Orton, RK Bro. I didn't want him. I want all of our wrestlers here in the UK. That's who I want to speak with. So listen, we don't frig them. We don't need them. We got who we want right now in the Scenario Nathan Gunn. This is my guy. This is who I'll take the Scenario Nathan Gunn any day of the week over everybody I just named, because I got a feeling this is the guy. people here want to hear from. So those are things that I'm excited about here in the LWF and Nathan Gunn. Certainly tomorrow night it is going to be a Wastelands for sure at the Buckstraw Village Community Center. And there's just a few tickets left. All you got to do, like I said, forget about your mutual fund account, forget about your crypto account, forget about the stock market around the world. Take it out because you're going to lose that money. If you didn't lose it today, you lose it in a couple weeks, whether it's inflation or anything else. Just put it in the Buckstraw Village Community Center. I can tell you that's what it is. And Kieran says you want wrestlers, not businessmen. That's simply put. But you know I got to ask you and get your perspective on this match because you know that they're going to be watching, they're going to be listening. That is the 8-person tag match between Leah Raven, your boy, Bob Costin, your very good friends, the Los Lankadors, who are going to be in the house here Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. British Standard Time. Your buddies, I know. Again, your former friend, Wildfire Dairies, former friend in the locker room, Aurora Tevez, the asset Stephen Cross, who I know you definitely don't like, and of course somebody that you probably also don't like, who will be back with us in the near and distant future, that is Balachius. So who do you think wins? What do you think happens here? 8-person tag. We're laying it all on the line here. What's your thoughts?
Well, hey, first of all, how exciting is the whole Leah Raven turning up? This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Excited to see that. Excited to see what she's got. I haven't seen too much on her before, so that's cool. Look, you know I love my Lost Boys. You know I love my Lost Boys. Lost
I know you do. I know.
Handsome lads under those masks, you know. Have you seen the Mysterious Mr. B without the mask on? Whoa!
I mean, I haven't seen him. Have you seen him without the mask? Because I haven't.
I have, yeah. He's come to many a Nathan Gunn party without that mask on, let me tell you. The ladies love him with that face. Gorgeous, man. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Is he getting the ladies that follow you on Instagram? Because the ladies that follow you are like, they might be out of the Mysterious Mr. B's league. They're probably out of my league, but they're definitely out of the Mysterious Mr. B's league. Maybe if I came up with some of the pounds from the Sportswire radio budget, they might not be in my league, but they're definitely out of the Mysterious Mr. B's league. That I can assure you.
We need to get you to a Nathan Gunn party, but that's off topic.
Off the topic. Yeah. Off the topic.
This 8-man is an exciting prospect, isn't it?
You know what? I'm really intrigued about this match. I have to say, I said about Mikey Fitz last night. This is the match like I'm really excited for, and we have some great matches on the card here, undoubtedly. But I'm really, really excited about this match.
Oh, and fair, because so am I. And look, on the one hand, it's much like the Worst and Shining Wizard match, where myself and Conrad Blaze, we're going to be watching it from a kind of tactical standpoint and see, you know, taking some notes, yeah? But the fan in me also says, please, can Los Lankadors and Bob kick Cross and Nate's butts? Come on. Because he was so smug after cutting his hair. I couldn't deal with it. You know, he come backstage. You know, I was on the call last show.
I know that.
He was insufferable backstage, walking around with his hair, throwing it around. I couldn't deal with it. So I need something to be done about that.
But don't you feel, though, I mean, that there is a biasness and an unfair conspiracy toward the likes of Stephen Cross, toward the likes of Nathan Gunn? Sorry, Nate Reese, Nathan Gunn. Certainly, that's
didn't know what happened to me.
Well, let's roll back the tape. Don't you feel that there is an unfair bias toward the likes of Stephen Cross, Wildfire Nate Reese, and Balachius? Don't you feel that there is in the locker room, and especially from management, some type of biases? Because I do, and Balachius said it, that there is a conspiracy he feels. Stephen Cross has felt that management has been biased. Nate Reese, we've heard what he's had to say. I mean, I kind of sum it up, and there is a little bit of nepotism here. I do think that Mikey Fitz and Mr. Bibby seem to be favored and like the likes of Costin and the Los Lankadors.
Yeah, look, in terms of Cross's, the unfairness towards him, what's he complaining about? Is it the triple threat? I mean, Steen didn't know who was in that match.
But they put Lachlan Sharp in there against him unannounced. Listen, the mysterious Mr. B was unannounced. All of a sudden, he was his Castle Cup opponent. I mean, it took him months to get a match on LWF TV. It took him months to even be thought of. He was training like you were for all that time. You didn't think that there was a bias or a nepotism toward him, and the fact that look at the strength, look at the size of him, look at what he's accomplished in the ring. You know it better than anybody. You didn't think that toward the asset Stephen Cross that there was some sort of dislike toward him, or management didn't see him what they were looking for, and they'd rather have somebody like a Bob Costin who before came across kind of goofy and was a little bit maybe like afraid of his own shadow, or even the Los Lankadors who are always clapping and dancing. You at least have shown you can win. The Los Lankadors, I mean, you don't find that there has been some type of, when it comes to the asset Stephen Cross, some type of maybe nepotism here?
I hear what you're saying, and I respect your loyalty. You know, you're a Stephen Cross fan, and that's cool. But I feel like, look, I think Stephen Cross brings a lot to the table. You know, I've been in the ring with him many times, not just in the
LWF. I know that. I'm well aware of it.
All promotions, so I know what he can do, and I'm well aware that he's talented. I'm well aware that look at him, man looks good. But
there's no body fat. It's him and the company outlaw Rick Marcus. Between the two of them, in all of our scene here in the UK, I think if you put the two of them together, they still have no body fat.
Undoubtedly, boys look good, but I can't get behind a whiner. You know what I mean? Look, it happens sometimes in this business, and you'll know this, is you don't know who you're facing, and you've just got to be ready. You've got to take an opponent on the fly.
You don't think in a tournament to decide a championship or a winner of that it's kind of peculiar and bizarre that all of a sudden you randomly just put somebody in a match? I mean, could you have imagined that they would do that in the King of the Ring? Could you have imagined if they do that in the Owen Hart tournament right now in AEW? Could you have imagined any other company that they would do that? I mean, it does seem like it's a little unfair. I mean, the way that Balachius has been treated in terms of his lack of opponents, the way that Wildfire Nate Reese was treated for months at a time. I mean, here's a guy that was in the ring with the likes of Sona Durson. He was the guy that was in the ring with the likes of a Dan Evans, and he wasn't even on the card. He was doing raffle challenges. I mean, you were at least getting championship matches. You at least were a huge part of things in the LWF. But Wildfire Nate Reese couldn't get a match for months, despite being on here. The asset Stephen Cross couldn't get a match here, and he had matches being changed on him all of a sudden. Balachius, who was here Wednesday night, he was having things being where nobody wants to face him, and people weren't even showing up to face him. I mean, that does seem peculiar and bizarre. I have to say it seems bizarre.
Well, look, I mean, if your management, do you book Nathan Gunn? People want to see Nathan Gunn.
I would book you. I would book you, though. But, I mean, Balachius was 6'6". This should be our Andre the Giant. This should be our Big Show. This should be our Keith Lee. This should be our Brock Lesnar. And he's not even getting booked to be in the ring? Come on.
I mean, listen, but how do you convince somebody to fight him? I mean, I'm a pretty tall lad, you know. I'm pushing 6.
We had Franco Varga here though a few months ago. They had no problem putting him in the ring against Nate Reese. I mean, I'm sure that Mr. Bibby came up with the pounds to put Franco Varga out there. You're telling me Mr. Bibby couldn't find some extra hot dog money to give it to Franco Varga and put Balachius in the ring? I'm sure he could pull that off.
Hey, look, I don't know who Mr. Bibby has available to him and who he doesn't. All I know is
Andre Decker, we had on out there. I'll even throw other names out there. I'll put the Forbidden Door out there. Andre Decker. I'd love to see Balachius and Andre Decker out there. I mean, there's a lot of people I'd like to see Balachius in the ring with. The Cumbrian outlaw Rick Marcus. I'll throw it out there. I'm going to do a pipe bomb here. There's a lot of big men out there. How about Big T? I'd love to see Big T out there with Balachius. I mean, there's a lot. I'm throwing pipe bombs out here tonight. Listen, I mean, you put with Balachius, there's dollar signs there. You find somebody to be in the ring with him. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to pick a winner, but I've made my case heard, and I've made it.
Hey, look, sign Nathan Gunn a big enough check, and I'll fight him. He's a tall lad, but I'm
Are
a
you
decent
sure
height.
about? Are you sure about that?
I'll fight him. I'll fight anyone.
Did you see what he did to Nate Reese?
Yeah.
You helped Nate Reese actually after the match. You definitely saw it.
I did. But I've got a little height on Nate Reese, a little reach on Nate Reese.
Everybody has a reach on Nate Reese. Let's be honest.
Down here somewhere, I think.
Even Brian Nathanson has a reach advantage on it.
Sorry, I thought he was down there for a second. Anyway, but no, I think I'll fight anyone. But I hear what you're saying, and I do. But I just think, look. Sometimes, I mean, you've lived life long enough. Sometimes it's a little unfair. Sometimes it doesn't quite go to plan. Sometimes you've got a new opponent, and I think whinging about it and taking it out on the fans and coming on here and whinging to you about it. And I respect your loyalty. I'm a huge fan of you, but I can't get behind the rest of them. I can't.
No, I respect. Listen, and I respect what you're trying to say. I get it. I understand. And to be fair, I give everybody a crack. I give everybody a shot. We're going to hear from the Los Lancadores Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. So we're going to hear the Los Lancadores, what they have to say. We're going to hear again. So we're going to, I know it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. I mean, so we're going to hear from them. And then we're going to get, I'm sure, reactions from Beladius, Stephen Cross, and Nate Reese next week. So that's all fair. And
we're going to get some sticks there, aren't we?
Well, it's going to be next week is going to be even busier than this week on Sportswire Radio. So, Davey Getsky likes the way you look in his shirt, so that's certainly his thought there. So, Mr. Getsky, as apparently what the unforgettable Andre Decker said, Mr. Getsky might want to eat a few more things to fit into one of those shirts. That's Mr. Decker. What's what Mr. Decker said? That's not what I said. And we've got Kieran.
Look at that. Getsky. What does that even mean? Is that? I mean, I look like a guy who can't win at the minute, is that?
Well, wouldn't that mean, to be fair, that could mean Beladius, that could mean Stephen Cross, that could be Nate Reese. I mean, Kieran
none of them will get scared.
Shane O'Mac, best in the world tournament. You can only beat what's in front of you. You have to expect the unexpected. I mean,
he gets it.
Well, he does. He does. Certainly, he does. That's his opinion, and I respect his opinion because, well, look at his picture. He's a big man too. I mean, he's big. I mean, he's big. He's big. And I'm not short either. I'm 6 foot just about, and I'm not short, and he looks bigger than me. So, that's the running joke because I'm not a short little guy. I might be skinny, but I'm not short. But I want to get to this match before closing thoughts because I have to get your thoughts on it. You know what I'm going to tell you next, and that is obviously the losing crew right now. That is
the losing crew.
Cutter and Chris Stone are going to be in action in a non-title match against the tag team champions here, our second ever tag team champions of the LWF. That is obviously Synergy's Troy Ryan and representing Synergy Jack Roberts. And this is going to be a match that it's going to be a slugfest. These guys are going to be it's going to be a slugfest here. It's going to be one of those matches like if you better make sure you have your popcorn in your hand, your hot dog in your hand at the Buckshot Village Community Center. And whatever you do, don't get up for the bathroom because this is going to be a match where these guys are going to be in the ring. They're going to probably take it outside the ring. They're going to come back in the ring. They're going to take it outside the ring, and they're just going to beat up each other. So I have to ask you. I know who you think is going to win. I know who you want to win, but I still have to ask what we can expect for those that are showing up tomorrow night between the tag team champions of Synergy, Troy Ryan, Jack Roberts, against the losing crew, Nick Cutter, and Chris Stone.
I will look, first things first. Me and Blaze will be taking notes, 100%.
Oh, okay. So are you saying you're going to be there tomorrow night?
Well, yeah. Well, look, I'm double booked at the party. I watched some videos back.
Yeah, Powered 4 TV. So you're saying Powered 4 TV is what you're going to be watching it off?
Yeah, I'll be watching any Powered 4 TV matches, and I'll be watching any LWF television clips that come up because I take notes. And so does Blaze on all these things, and we talk about it, and that's the first thing.
Fair enough. I respect the honesty there. I respect the honesty.
But tough match, innit? I mean, Chris Stone's replaced David Getsky, and that's fair enough. But it's a tough match to call. It'll be interesting to see how Synergy do. Not the usual tag pairing of Synergy, is it? So that'll be interesting. And not the usual tag pairing of the Wrecking Crew either. So, but for really talented lads. So, I mean, I said it before about the Steen and the Tom Thurwell match. That could be the show stealer. This could be the show stealer. You know
what could be? I hadn't thought of it that way, but this is a match that there's a lot of bad blood because the losing crew want to be back to the Wrecking Crew. They want to get their tag team championships back. Yeah. They're upset about
that.
We thought they would have a long run. I thought they would be champions for as long as they wanted it, but they're not the champions. So they're going to have rematch on their mind. They're going to have the ability to even the score on their mind. So this could very well be one of those matches that, you know what, you hadn't thought of it that way. I thought Ayton Steen and Tom Thurwell would be that match, but maybe this could be the match. Listen, you could make a case for all of these matches here, and I've got a comment from somebody who's definitely a fan of the Los Lancadores, and I want to make sure I give everybody a fair shot because that's what we do on Sportswire Radio, and that is obviously Louis Charles, and he's obviously a fan of the Los Lancadores, and he says, I look forward to seeing what the Los Lancadores say next Tuesday. You have made a few disrespectful comments about them tonight, and I think you've been a bit harsh. I hope that they win tomorrow to show you that they deserve more respect. Well, let me address that in saying, listen, I don't disrespect.
Very nice.
No, I'm going to address this as the host of Sports Report and the station manager of Sportswire Radio. I'm not disrespecting the Los Lancadores. It's more to me about the fact that for the Los Lancadores, the injustices toward Beladius, Nate Reese, and the Acid Stephen Cross, I think that that's where we see a little bit of a philosophical difference here because let's take a step back here. The Los Lancadores, yes, the fans love the Los Lancadores. I'm not going to take away the fact that the Buckshore Village Community Center, the fans love the Los Lancadores. I get it between the Mass Marauder, Disfrasada, and I want to thank Disfrasada for sharing our video tonight. So thank you, Disfrasada, for sharing the video. And I want to thank also the Mysterious Mr. B because he's always liking my stuff on Instagram. So it's a philosophical difference about the fact that Beladius, Wildfire Nate Reese, and the Acid Stephen Cross have been disrespected by the LWF management. And we addressed that loud and clear last night with Mikey Fitzgerald. And I know that Mr. Bibby is listening and watching because he's always watching and he's always listening. And I do think that there is an injustice right now toward certain wrestlers. And those wrestlers are named Beladius, Wildfire Nate Reese, and the Asset Stephen Cross. So I know that Nathan Gunn's going to disagree. I know that Bob Costin's going to definitely disagree. And I know that the Los Lancadores are going to disagree. And like I said, I'm going to give the Los Lancadores a fair shot because let's take a step back here. Who hasn't come on Sportswire Radio from the LWF? We have literally had on almost the entire locker room here. I can't think of anybody we haven't had on Sportswire Radio in the roster right now. So I'm going to give the Los Lancadores their due, and I'm going to give them their shot.
Hey, look, you can't say fairer than that. You can't say fairer. Look, you have your opinion, and I respect that. You know I disagree, and that's fine. We can all be friends here.
I have zero problems with that, and I have no problems with the fact that the Los Lancadores see things differently. And if I were the Los Lancadores, I would want to see things differently as well. But there is a point, I think, that there is certainly nepotism, injustices, and a conspiracy going on towards certain wrestlers. We're going to get that side of the reaction from everybody next week once again here. Nate Reese is going to have a lot to say here in a few minutes also, undoubtedly, on Sportswire Radio. But before I get closing thoughts from you, I want to ask you, since Mr. Getsky is watching and listening to this, what do you want to say directly? Floor is yours, your final words to Davey Getsky. What do you want to say?
I've took so many shots, and do you know what? It wasn't just me tonight, was it? It wasn't just me tonight.
No, but you know what? To be fair, other wrestlers this week on Sportswire Radio piled on him. So to be fair,
it's not just other wrestlers. You've jumped in as well, and I love it.
I admit it.
But hey, look, I simply got to say what everyone always says. It's anyone but Getsky. It's anyone but Getsky. And now it was, because it was me. And I think I beat him so bad that he hasn't even bothered turning up to Wasteland, has he? So we'll see. we'll see what he can do going forward, because he is part of the losing crew. I mean, you've coined that term, not me, but
I'm sure Mr. Bibby and Mr. Fitzgerald are going to use that, and I'm sure they're going to run with it. Knowing them,
rightfully so. Rightfully so.
So we've heard everything you've said about Mr. Getsky. Congratulations about finally. It took you a long time, but you finally got the job done there. And obviously, these are reasons why you also want to follow the Scenario Nathan Gunn on Instagram at Pro Nathan Gunn, the LWF's page, LWF, also the LWF Wrestling, YouTube, LWF Television. And I want to give you the floor now. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything you want to plug, anything you want to share, anybody that's coming out tomorrow night that might come out after hearing you and Stephen Cross and Nate Reese, anything you want to say to them. And I turn it over to you, my friend. Anything else you want to plug, anything you want to say. And I can't thank you enough. And you know the drill by now, so I don't have to say much further.
Well, hey, look, I mean, I'll always plug LWF Television. You got to get yourself on there, get yourself subscribed. Have a watch some of those clips. There's me and Dave Getsky from Slamaganza. And get yourself on Powered 4 TV, because you'll see me very recently beat Dave Getsky. But hey, and get yourself down tomorrow as well, because I mean, it's going to be a wasteland, isn't it? I mean, we talked it through, but how many of those matches can be match of the night? How many of those matches could be 5-star, 6-star? I don't know what the star scale is these days. It's off the chart, isn't it? But hey.
I'm not going to do Dave Meltzer on you. I am not going to do the Dave Meltzer.
We need one with the show chart scale. That's what we need. But hey.
If I do the show chart scale at this point, because I've had literally on the entire locker room, you think if I do that, listen, it's one thing if I take sides. It's another thing if I say, well, this wrestler only got a 3 out of 5. So I'm not going to step in. I'm not that dumb. I am not that dumb. I might be dumb, but I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, you give the losing crew a -5 stars. I hear you. That's fine.
All right, so we'll certainly see all that. And Kieran says, I hella would. If I wasn't training, he'd be there. Saturday is religious wrestling training. So meaning that he'll be training somewhere. He's got nonstop action wrestling to get involved in. A lot of great things here. Pro Nathan Gunn on Instagram. Can't stress it enough. Something tells me here we're going to be hearing a lot more from you in the LWF. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, but I know next week, maybe if you're not doing anything same time, same bad channel, we might have to get some reactions from you, because I know that the Los Lancadores are going to be here. I know that Cross is going to be here. Balachis is going to be here. I know that Nate Reese is going to be here. So something tells me here, I got a feeling if you're not doing anything, you got a few minutes to spare, we're going to hear from you.
Okay. I've always got time for you, my friend. Let's do it.
All right, well, we'll certainly see. Something tells me here, and for whatever reason, I'm thinking of the Culture Club song, "Time" and all that stuff. Not that I'm going to be like Boy George anytime soon and pull off that look, but certainly that song might be one to mine here. But my friend, congratulations on finally getting the job done. Show up that shirt one more time for those that are watching and listening to this here. Obviously, long overdue. Looking forward to many, many more victories ahead for you. Looking forward to further success here in the LWF, and we'll definitely speak with you next week. We'll definitely look forward to recapping the Wastelands card with you and much, much more, and can't thank you enough, and congratulations.
Thanks, man. Always good to chat to you. I'll see you next week, yeah?
You definitely will, and everyone but Getsky, that is, as we are here on the Sports Report, the number one level sports shop with pro wrestling star here from the LWF. That's the Nathan Gunn. As I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager of Sportzwire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce, and stay tuned here for more LWF coverage here as the Athlete Stephen Cross comes on here in about 5 minutes. Then Wildfire Nate Reese to follow here on Sportswire Radio. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to our LWF Power Hour to kick off with the Scenario Nathan Gunn coming off one of the biggest wins of his career against former now tag team champion Davey Getsky of the Losing Crew. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And stay tuned here on sportnarium.com/player for more coverage in about 5 minutes of the LWF with the Acid Stephen Cross and then Wildfire Nate Reese. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening here on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station. Where am I missing? Oh.